Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Utilities, Environment, and Safety Committee meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from the Utility, Safety, and Environment Committee meeting on May 7th, 2025, as circulated. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of a proposed city ordinance which would prohibit Tier 2 and Tier 3 6 offenders from residing near public parks. Law Director Deary.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. This referral is from a resident who lives in the vicinity of Cascade Park. I communicated with them via email very recently. They indicated that they had looked at several neighboring communities' restrictions and specifically pointed out that about, well, actually 20 years ago now, in 2006, that Lorain had put into effect greater restrictions than what the state requires. And I suggested that if that were something that they wished for council to consider, that they should put it in a referral, and that's what you have before you this evening. I did make a request to Chairwoman Mitchell, and obviously that would be subject to the committee's desire, that I would like to have my office reach out to the Lorain Law Department to see basically what the logistics of their ordinance, how it plays out, what the results have been. The residency restrictions that are in place by state law are complex. They don't appear necessarily to be complex on their face, but implementing them and enforcing them, they are quite complex. One of the biggest issues is that depending on when an offender was charged with the crime or the date the crime was committed versus when the conviction happened, those all can affect whether an offender is required to register, whether the residency restrictions apply, whether when the residency was established, whether the offender owns versus rents. Those are all, they all come into play. So I did have that conversation with this resident who was amenable and did understand that this is not simply a matter of should council wish to move forward and pass such a law, this would not just be a situation where, okay, effective the date of the ordinance passage, an offender could no longer live in the vicinity of our public parks, and that people would have to move out necessarily, that there would be a lengthy, involved evaluation that would necessarily come into play. That's not necessarily to discourage you or to discourage this resident. I just wanted you all to be aware, as well as this resident to be aware. So I would ask that this matter be tabled and it would be brought back at such time when I have more information to provide you so that you have the overall picture of what an increase would look like, an increase in the restrictions, I mean.
Thank you, Law Director Deary. Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Madam Chair. So I agree that we should table this, but is it a possibility that maybe we can have, is it worth getting the police, somebody to come and educate us on what the Tier 2 and Tier 3 and the problems that they have is that, I know you're checking in on that, but have you reached out? I don't know how all that stuff is handled either.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, absolutely. I can tell you that the way that the registration and handling violations of registration and the residency restrictions happens are essentially when an offender is required to register, that person has to do so through the local sheriff's department. And if it is determined that that person's in violation of the residency restriction, then the sheriff forwards that to the local prosecutor's office. So if the person resided in Elyria, let's just say, for example, the person lives too close to an elementary school. So then, if it looks on the face that they're too close, so then that would be referred to my prosecutor's office, and then we would take a look, for instance, at is actually the distance in violation, because sometimes at first glance it's not. It is as the crow flies, so to speak. It is from property line to property line, not doorway to doorway. So, for example, when Oakwood School was open, I mean, that was quite a big piece of property. So it wasn't just to the doorstep of the school, it was actually to the property line of the school's property. If it's determined that there is a violation, my office will reach out in writing to the offender at the address, basically saying, look, we have found you're in violation, you have X amount of time, it's a short time, to remedy that, essentially to move, or give us your, did you buy this prior to, what, do you have a legal exception? And if not, then the remedy is to file an injunction in common pleas court, and basically challenge the residency that way. So absolutely, I would ask some of my prosecutors come in who handle this, the police, probably likely somebody from the sheriff's department, so we could talk about all that.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong.
Through you, Madam Chair. I also agree that this needs to be tabled because there's a whole lot of information that is missing from this committee. I spoke to Lorain County Sheriff Deputy Smith about this, and he's one of the main people in the sex offender unit. And I'm pretty sure he's more than willing to come in and educate us about the SORN laws and all that and the restrictions. But there's just a lot that needs to be discussed about this. Even my research alone, I haven't found anything close to this anywhere. The only thing I found was something in Strongsville, and they did something where they don't allow offenders to be in public parks. So again, I feel strongly that this needs to be tabled.
Mrs. Davis.
Through you, Chair. Yes, I'm glad that you're tabling it too and find out more information, but the location, we are also in the vicinity of a daycare. End of that subject. Okay.
Mrs. Zawarka.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have a different question. I wondered, I think we should table it. It seems awfully complicated. It seems like we'd almost have to have full-time people just to do this, track it with the sheriff's office. Approximately do we know how many Tier 2 and Tier 3 offenders are say, either within Lorain County or within the city? That would be helpful information to find out. So perhaps when these experts come, they could, certainly we don't need names or anything, but if they said, okay, you have 15 in Lorain County, okay, at least that gives us some idea. I have no idea how many people, and they don't stay on the list forever. I mean, people do go on the list, and then they, after so many years, it goes away, right?
Through you, Madam Chair, it depends on, again, what the registration
Charge
requirements
was,
were
yeah.
based on the conviction.
Yeah.
And actually, what I would suggest, should council committee and ultimately council go this route. I actually would not utilize the Tier 2 and Tier 3 nomenclature, only because, state and federal law, they change their verbiage so much. I would basically say, look, if an offender is, and I do have copies of what Lorraine's ordinance is, and I can also email it to you just so you can take a look at it. They pretty much, their language is, it says basically, if a person's convicted of, pled guilty to, or pleads guilty to a sexually oriented offense that is not registration exempt. So basically, if you're an offender that has to register, then these are the restrictions that apply to you within our city limits. So not getting, but as far as your question about how many people this would affect, it is all public record. Essentially we could run a map and I can get that information for you when this does come back before the committee. So we could tell you exactly numbers and that kind of thing.
Okay, if I may continue, Madam Chair. I agree with that, and I don't have a problem if we said people that are convicted, like you just read the nomenclature of, they're convicted of X amount of specific crimes. That's fine, that's fine. I just was trying to, if we can get our arms around what is this, and we look at the map, but again, I go back to my point one, which is, wow, this is a lot of manpower to try to keep track of this and coordinate with the sheriff's office, because we aren't the ones that are handling these cases, right?
And through you, Madam Chair, I'm sorry if I may, to Councilwoman Davis's point, the resident that I spoke with did not indicate or identify any specific address other than the street. If there, as you indicated, is a daycare, and then what I would recommend is that the particular address or offender that can be provided to my office, and we can look into, again, is there some sort of exception? Because, again, we do work very closely with the Sheriff's Department. It is a split responsibility as far as the Sheriff's Department is responsible for the registration and sending out those cards, notifications. But they also, again, forward to my office when a violation, a blatant violation, I would say, is detected. That's, again, that's not to say that there aren't things that aren't readily identified. And I think daycares are one of those areas, especially if you're talking about in-home daycares and that sort of thing. Those are, sometimes those can not be readily identified.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, did you have your hand up? Mr. Armstrong?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To come back around the comment that Councilwoman Davis stated, the Ohio Revised Code is 2950.034, which prohibits a person to be 1,000 feet from school, child care facilities. So that's already established. My second comment is we have to also consider if they had their offense before 2008, they can live by a school. But if it was after 2008, they cannot. So again, like I said, we really need to table this because there are a lot of factors that need to be discussed here.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Oswald, was your hand up?
Through you, Madam Chair. So all I was going to say is word of mouth. It's funny how I've had some tenants say, hey, do you know there's a sex offender living right next door? And so they know, they let the word out. But that person was not the owner or the tenant that was renting, but they were just a friend and staying there. So they got their ways around. So it's going to be complicated. I agree. So thank you.
Thank you. When this comes back to us, I agree it should be tabled until we get a lot more information. But when this comes back to us, it's going to be a long discussion, I think, because
Oh, yeah.
there's so much we don't know, so much information out there. So we'll let the experts tell us what we don't know. We will table this until such time, and we'll move on. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the matter of finalizing the list of the 2025 Ward Street resurfacing project. Mr. Lippian is not here. I did not hear from him. Ms. Rosario did not hear from him, but we are going to move on. I announced it Monday night at the council meeting that we were selecting streets. We are already way behind, so we are not going to delay any further. So, having said that, Colleen was kind enough to make copies for us, and Mr. Schneider has it on the screen. So, shall we begin? Ms. Davis?
Through you, Chair, the streets that I had selected, and the one that you see in yellow, the 49,000, I just have one question for the council. I want to know, can I borrow some money from next year to add up to this 337, 20,000? I want to borrow $20,000 from next year so I can get my streets done this year.
I don't think it works that way.
That's all I want to do.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one, isn't it? Okay. I mean, hey.
So, Ms. Davis,
I'm,
you are over.
Yes.
Are you going to select a street as an alternate?
yes, that Euclid Street will be an alternate, please.
And where does that take her, Mr. Snyder?
Well, it would take me to the 337, so I will remove that. So without that street, is that correct, Mr. Snyder?
Yeah, it would put you under the, I guess, our cap of what each councilman has by probably around
I thought it was
$12,000 under. Well,
$312,000.
$314, I believe.
Okay, we'll take 314.
Yes,
$314, $286.
right.
314.
So if I remove, you didn't add,
It's currently, the way I have it shown on here, it's added in.
yes. so
And it's
you would-
highlighted yellow to
Yes, it's
make it
added
an
in,
alternate.
correct?
As of right now, you're over, but if I remove it, you'll be slightly under.
Okay, so since you won't let me borrow it from next year's money, the 20,000 that I need to go ahead, so I will remove that one for this year.
But we'll keep it as an alternate.
And that's an
just in case.
alternative for
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it comes up a little cheaper somewhere else.
yes.
All right.
So your streets
So my
are,
streets are Louisiana, from Furnace to Lorraine, Louisiana from West River to Furnace, Lowell from Lake Avenue to the tracks.
no.
I mean Morgan from Adams to the railroad tracks. Boy, that's not very many streets.
Yeah. We good?
We're good.
Mrs. Zawarka?
I think I'm all set.
Yeah,
I think I'm all set. I've given the engineer a list of spot repairs, so if we have extra, then I guess the spot repairs would be my alternate.
Yeah. Well, right now, you're actually under, but yes, I mean, that's what we'd probably look at if for some
But
reason.
yeah, I've only got 73 cents, yeah. That, Michigan, there's, I'll get you the address, there's another spot on Ashland, but Vassar is out, and that piece up there at Haynes, I'm okay with it being out, only because if the sewer is gonna be changing over there, it may disturb whatever we try to fix, so we should just wait on that. Right? That was what you said, right?
Yeah, I don't think the sewer will be there. I mean, there might be some construction activity happening in that near area because of them pulling in and out when they do stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Okay. I think the rest are all set. Alexis is bad, East River is really bad, Illinois Circle is bad. The concrete repairs, the miscellaneous ones that need to be done. Is that coming to up to 60,000, John? All of those are just individual repairs. Those are not whole streets.
Yeah, correct. Those are just repairs throughout. Now, I will point out that a lot of this has been done from a computer and not from in the field yet, because I
I'm
didn't
sorry,
have,
say again?
a lot of the estimates are from a computer and not from in the field. We have not had time to go out and
Oh,
measure all
okay,
those up.
okay. So it
if
may be,
there's-
it may be less, is what you're saying?
And it may be more.
Maybe more, okay.
So-
Yeah, I don't think Vanderbilt, I mean, there's a few spots towards the cul-de-sac part of Vanderbilt. Ashland, there's a couple big holes right by Bryan. Kent, there's 2 spots, I gave you those 2 addresses. And then the one on Michigan, and then the corner of Xavier and Hampton. It's pretty bad. So I think I'm all set.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Wilk. And I just want to remind everyone that we now have the roller thingy, mabobber. I don't know what it's called. What's it called, Mrs. Snyder?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, when they put the tar down or whatever, they roll it out or whatever.
For crack sealing, or you're talking the,
For patching.
oh, yeah, we have a roller.
See, I knew what I was talking
Finish
about, the
roller,
roller.
yes.
So I just want to remind you guys, if you have a lot of potholes, get with Mr. Schneider or Preston or Keenan. They did a very good job over on Murray Ridge, such as it is. So, moving on, Mr. Oswald. Oh, I'm so sorry, no, okay.
No, thanks,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Overbrook South, Overbrook North, Hilltop Circle, Randolph from Pasadena to Nash, and Washington Avenue from Ohio to Hamilton. And our buffer money will be in the alternate as far as Commodore Circle, because that's split up in some concrete work, and we'll get that figured out to make that work at my budget numbers. Are we good with that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm good.
Thank you. You're a little over, but that's okay. Mr. Armstrong. Right.
Well, just want to send a shout out before I start this, because I did use the street department and wastewater and forestry department to save $50,000. So I'm going to take that $50,000 from the 10th Street alley off my list. And, oh, it's already off.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, John, you did add it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so that's how you did it with the roller and stuff. You saved 50, Brenda. And Temple Court, I mean, if it happens, happens. If, you know, doesn't, I'm pretty sure you can fit it in.
So if I'm reading this correctly, you're at 334,000. You need to
Yes.
get it.
His Temple Court will be an alternate.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We're good? Mr. Sarah?
So through you, the only one that I could take off that would get me to that would be the Pasadena, Cleveland, basically Ohio State, house number 545. Is that something that could be done in-house through the street department? I know it's kind of wide, but it's not very long.
No, I mean, you would need a paver for that. But, I mean, I would say we leave it on and do it as an alternate, and if we have money, we'll do it. If not, then next year, I guess. That's okay
So-
with you.
If we're going to do that as the alternate, then Hawthorne from 424 to Sycamore, I'd rather do that as an alternate, because they just did that cul-de-sac, and that road going up to it's just as bad as that cul-de-sac was, and we're not getting that done.
Is that it, Mr. Sarah? Is
For
that
now.
it for you? Okay. For the 6th Ward, 16th Street from Infirmary to Douglas, 16th Street from Douglas to West River, Bell Avenue from Lake to Penfield, Oakwood Street from Demas to Clemens, and Water Street, the intersection of Water Street and Broad. That's it. Mrs. Zawarka?
Thank you, through the chair. John, the concrete numbers are not 100% because you haven't been out in the field. Are the blacktop numbers close, or do those have to be recalculated?
The blacktop numbers, I would say, are close because it's a lot easier to estimate with asphalt than it is with concrete because I just do a full length times width times
Okay.
thickness, so.
The reason I ask that is because I only have one asphalt street. I mean, if Illinois comes in less than 50,000, because that's my only asphalt street in 3, I've moved my money to somebody else.
I would say, though, some of those were based off of overlaying with asphalt, though, as well.
That's already blacktop, so
Okay.
it's, yeah, so that's just blacktop over blacktop. That's not a concrete street.
Okay.
So if it comes in less, my money goes to the,
I'd be more than
Cool.
happy to take it.
my money
I
goes to
think-
the,
I think you and Mrs.
the
Davis-
jar in the middle.
I think you and Mrs. Davis would have to arm wrestle for it.
I can't imagine it would be too much, but it might be 5,000, maybe. Whatever it is, whatever it is, it can go back into for anybody else.
Okay. Mr. Lippian,
You can go ahead and proceed, ma'am. I'll go last. Thank you.
we're done. We're waiting.
Madam Chair.
You just walked in.
Okay,
and
perfect.
You're lucky, because we.
Thank you very
we're ready to
much.
finish.
I was just finishing up a meeting across the street. Thanks for your patience. So you got these streets that I had sent you in the email?
I believe I have all of the ones that you sent, yes. It's the same number as
If
your
you
email.
pulled
yeah.
it out of your box,
Yes, I did.
Colleen was kind enough to attach it to.
Got it right
oh,
here.
yeah.
I'm just
No,
making sure that-
no. Is that one?
Yeah. I'm just making sure that it reflects.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay. They're all colored the same, so thank you. So all you need to know is my alternate. My alternate would be Sumner Street, East Broad to Rigid Tool. It's towards the bottom.
You want to make that one your alternate?
Yes. So
Summer Street from,
from East Broad to Rigid Tool.
right here. Yeah, John will have to move it over. So you're taking off Sugar Lane? You're taking off Sugar Lane?
No, I'm not taking off Sugar Lane. Pardon me. I thought this was the alternate if you're looking for something smaller, of lesser cost.
What I need, Mr. Lippian, is for you to select your streets, and then we'll select the alternate. So, like, you have Clark from Concord to Boston, is that where you have the dollar amounts?
Yes, I had sent an email with the new streets, so it shouldn't be Clark from Concord to Boston now. It should be South Logan. Let's see. Yeah, it should be, so South Logan from East Broad to Eastern Heights, Kenyon from Garford to Prospect,
Hold on a second. Okay.
Dennison, Fairlawn to Prospect, and Clark, Concord to Boston. That all checks.
What about Cornell from Boston to Concord?
That's supposed to be on there as well, yes. Cornell, Boston to Concord, that's all correct. And then Sugar Lane 760 to End. I see that highlighted in yellow.
That was an alternate.
Yeah, and I think what I'd said was because I went over, my request is to do as much of Clark as possible up to that amount of money.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, you are at 391,000, you're $76,775 over. You need to get that down.
Let me go ahead and pull up the email that I'd sent.
Okay, okay.
So it's currently at 326, right? I'm seeing there at the total section. 326? Yes. So that's the current amount, and that's including all of the streets that are under the selection column that have dollar signs next to them added up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that is why I had sent an email, instead of Cornell from Boston to Concord, I had changed that. But I don't see that updated here on the sheet. And I guess that's why.
What did you change it to?
Let me see. Yeah, I had made Sugar Lane part of that. So let's see, if we have Cornell, 67 minus 27, 40. Yes, and so, yes, so Sugar Lane. And then do we know, I've heard some different conversation about this. I've heard that Park Avenue might get resurfaced once there's a replacement of some sewers over there. Do we know what year that's projected for?
Oh, that's a very good question. As of right now, we don't have a year. You're probably looking more of a 28, 29 years in that year, 2028, 2029. The Southeast Interceptor sewer that's extended. The next phase will get us under the Ray Road tracks, pop us up over by Clark, and then we're going to run down Clark Street actually first before we head down to Park Avenue.
All right, that's helpful. I guess because the intersection over there by Park, East Broad to Oxford, it's just really bad on the turn to East Broad because of all the construction equipment that were set up over there during the East Broad repaving. So if it's possible to, instead of Cornell, Boston to Concord, to do Sugar Lane 760 to end, and that's 27,000. And then if I'm able to do as much of Park Avenue, East Broad toward Oxford as possible, because it's really tore up pretty bad. So if you can just do as much of that as possible for the remainder, I'd appreciate it. And I know the residents would too. Okay, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair. So have you kind of totaled up? Yeah, I know you're doing it a bunch of numbers. Are we within, our total budget that, we were supposed to have?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I'm not on the committee, but I've always been impressed year after year how this particular committee on this particular topic really works well together, and that includes all the ward council people. I'm looking at it from the perspective of the whole city as Mr. Stewart and myself, council at large. So the give and take and, wanting to get more done, but just the effort, I appreciate it, and I say hats off to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. I echo that sentiment. Thank you, Councilman Callahan. I just wanted to double check on Baldwin. So this was a collaboration between the First Ward and Third Ward with Councilman Sawirka, and I believe that because of our wards being split on either side of Baldwin, and because we had selected it for last year, that some different funds were being configured to do all of Baldwin in concrete. I'm just making sure that that's correct, and that'll happen this year.
The intent is to do it, but not in concrete, is to be asphalt.
And asphalt, okay. But that'll be done this year?
That's the plan to do as part of the asphalt, first phase of asphalt
Right.
projects, yes.
I'm just checking because I
Yep.
didn't, and we've talked about it not being on the list to keep it separate, but I'm just verbally confirming.
Through the chair, through the chair. But that's the entire length of Baldwin, right, John? From South
Correct.
Abbey to Prospect?
Correct.
Okay. And it's concrete now, but it's like a roller coaster, so the blacktop will smooth it all out.
To do it in concrete would have been a lot more.
What's that?
It would have been a lot more to do it in concrete because of the.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know, it would have been a lot more
the-
expensive,
yes.
yeah. Thank you.
And I just want to thank Councilman Swierka for working with me on that.
So we are good? Everybody's relatively happy? You know, I want to thank the residents of Elyria again for approving issue 5. We couldn't do what we do without that. $2 million may seem like a lot, but as you see here, it doesn't go very far. But again, I thank you all for your participation and your cooperation and getting this done. You all know this is my favorite thing to do. I don't know why, I love this. So, seeing no more questions or comments, I'm going to read the committee report. Cool. We have considered the matter of the 2025 residential street resurfacing program, and this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the 2025 street resurfacing program and to include the attached list of streets after final updates, emergency clauses requested due to seasonal construction time constraints. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Oswald, second by Mr. Armstrong. Any
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There's nothing, Mr. Pianowski.
Thank you. Since we're talking about streets, I wanted to take this opportunity to ask if there was still interest in the street scanning process that we discussed in this early spring. Now that the levy has been renewed, I think it could be helpful in identifying the streets that are most need of repairs. I did receive some referrals from Council President Stewart for some companies that he was aware of that also provide this service. And I basically told all of them to, they're on hold until May. I'd be happy to reach out to them and start getting some quotes if the committee and council, which is largely represented here this evening, is interested, and bring them back for consideration.
Mr. Pianowski, refresh my memory. What was the cost of that again, please?
The one quote that we had was approximately $50,000, and it's for a 3-year commitment.
Is that 50 per year or 50 total?
No, it's 50 for the first year, and I want to say there's a $12,000 per year after that for the second and third, but I would have to confirm that. But we also have a couple other ones to explore. We never got to a pricing phase with them because we decided to put it on the back burner. So we could work on that if it's something you're still interested in and get that information to you to help with the selection process.
Okay, Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. I guess I would be interested in reviewing it. I thought that the engineers, I said this before, I think they do a good job at what we're doing right now. If it's a good tool that helps us, and that's what we can figure out, that's just what I'm wondering. If with that, along with the engineers, it could be beneficial for the city, then I would be okay with it. But I'd like to know a little bit more, I guess.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, and I could just kind of weigh in on that because it is beneficial, the line of work that I do with some of the communities that we work in. It is a beneficial tool. It does give you a lot of variety of looking and scanning and seeing, critical addresses and, just from the right-of-way to right-of-way from, for sidewalks, just to looking at it in its entirety. If there's other opportunities you can look at for other things, you have it. So it's a valuable tool. So I would encourage, to kind of get this back on the docket,
Thank you. Mr. Serra?
Through you, Madam Chair, I agree with all that. Also, we do have some parts of town that are older, than other wards and may need more than a certain ward going forward. And that would only be fair to the residents. That's not a slam to this committee because I do agree that we've done it fairly since I've been on council when it comes to this table. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Davis, you saw the presentation?
Yes, I saw, through you, Chair, I saw the presentation, and I was really looking forward to seeing this operation in our city. Let us know that we are moving forward. And when I think about the operation that's going on in my area, that we have been having issues with the gas line underground. Of course, you know, our area been out there for over 40-plus years, and they tearing up our street. So with this new equipment that they could go under and they can kind of see what's going on down below, is that correct? Does this like work to let us see that, you know, some of our piping may be wrong, or it's just the surface?
Just above, just above.
Well, maybe they can see some of the gas bubbling up. All right.
I also saw the presentation, and it was impressive. If you guys would like Mr. Pianowski to move forward in investigating this, I think it would be a good thing. Everybody's nodding their head. Mr. Armstrong?
I mean, are we only gonna go with, what was the company's name again? Was that,
Street scan.
I think it's actually called Street Scan.
Street Scan? I mean, are we gonna get to see other options? Because I think that's why we stopped, because we were waiting to
Yeah.
see other potential options.
President Stewart gave me some other options, so I would engage with all of them. That was just, the one I brought forward was this is an idea that was one that Lorraine was using and had a good success with, and so we felt comfortable with it. But we can explore the other ones, and if the administration for some reason finds reason to eliminate one or two of them, we'll bring you the two best to choose from or something like that. But, you know, some whether it's price or just quality, you know, perceived quality, we'll do the initial review and then bring you some to consider, and see if we can't do a presentation similar to what we did with Councilwoman Mitchell and Davis for the group, so you guys can make a decision. And I do think it would be a helpful tool. It would help us, you know, alleviate, quite frankly, I think it would lighten the load for some of the work you have to do to identify and pick the streets, because you could not absolutely rely on the report necessarily, but it would certainly give you a heightened starting point. And so I think that would be helpful, and it also would take away from, you know, sometimes the influence of the people that call all the time or whatever. So it would give you a more scientific approach to say, I chose these streets and here's why.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Lippian?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I actually rather enjoy the personal touch of every year being able to go around the whole ward. I take my kids in the car, and the three of us go around and we discuss it together. And it's a great way to kind of get the kids involved in government advocacy. And then while I'm out looking at the streets, I inevitably find signs and different things around the ward. It's just a great opportunity. So just a great opportunity to see the whole ward regularly each year, just at one specific season. So I'm not that I'm against it, just that I'd hate to see us lose that personal touch of, just like us being able to go out every 2 years and campaign for our offices. It's just great to be able to keep that regular, consistent presence as part of our regular procedures in council.
And I think, as Mr. Pianowski said, this won't replace that. It'll just give us an enhancement. It's just an extra tool, just like we just recently, well, the last 3 years, started doing the ride-alongs. It's just an enhancement, so.
We'll see what
because I
happens.
also like going out getting my streets.
I know you do. Yes,
I
ma'am.
do
Yeah,
enjoy
I know
that.
you do.
So, Mr. Callahan?
Through you, Madam Chair, I was going to echo exactly what you said. All ward members can, and even council at large members can still go out and do that work, and then it's just another tool. So I appreciate the energy and the passion for this to keep going. So I'm looking forward to the presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Madam Chair, my only concern with that is, because I think it was the M1 Mobile that we all had the presentation and we seen. When I did my research, they were already working on the upgrade. So I'm just want to make sure we're getting the best equipment for the city, and it's not gonna be upgraded within months of us purchasing.
I'm sure Mr. Pianowski will look into that and make sure that we are getting the absolute best for our money. No other comments or questions. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Colleen, for having us. Yep, we're going straight It's your turn in the hot seat.
Through you, just so you know, we're still on the record, and Mr. Sarah is going to call the Rules Committee.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Rules Committee meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Two items on the agenda, the first one being the approval of the January 27th, 2025 Rules Committee meeting minutes as circulated.
So moved.
Second.
Got a move and a proper second.
Question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is the matter of appointing a new member to the Elyria Bicycle Advisory Committee referred by Mayor Brubaker. I believe Mr. Pianowski will speak on this.
Yes, thank you, through you. One of the members, obviously this bicycle advisory committee is relatively new, but one of the members had to step down due to some personal reasons. And so after the committee was formed, and the articles in the newspaper, we did have some people who reached out, kind of, that missed the opportunity, but they said they would be interested. So we reached out to some of them and some other members in the community that some of the people on the advisory committee were aware of. They submitted applications. We provided them to the committee, and they selected the replacement. And the person they'd like to have added to the committee, who has been referred to you for consideration, is Kelly Kraus-Menke. She's a Elyria resident. I actually think she lives over on Park Ave. But I know she has taught bicycle safety classes through the Lorraine County Public Health for the last couple of years, because I approved her or wrote her contracts when she was doing it. Other than that, I'm not sure all of her involvement with bicycling, but I think she's been a bicycle advocate and safety person for at least a good 5 years, so.
Is there any questions? Mr. Callahan?
I don't have a question, but I would like to make a comment. I was happy to see that Kelly's name was there. I've known her for about 15 years. She has a passion for our city, and I think she's an excellent choice. She'll do a great job. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I'll read the resolution. A resolution authorizing the mayor to appoint the following resident to the Elyria Bicycle Advisory Committee, Kelly Kraus-Menke.
So moved.
Second.
Got an approval in a second.
Question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. If there's no further business, we'll adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everybody.